What is failure? According to the Oxford Dictionary, failure is a lack of success, the inability to meet an expectation, goal, or standard. Just hearing the word failure already feels negative. But here's the real question. Is failure actually a bad thing in our lives? A few years ago, I was heading into a job that was demanding and honestly, unpleasant. I had just moved out of my parents' place. I was living on my own for the first time, but I still hadn't found a job that matched my professional career. Yeah, maybe it was a strange decision to move out of my parents' place without a stable job, but I just really wanted to live on my own. Even so, bills don't wait. So I took a job at a restaurant. And I can say this without hesitation. It was one of the most toxic work environments I've ever been in. Every stressful moment of the day, and there were a lot of them, just fed my frustration. I wasn't doing what I had trained for, what I had burned my brain studying. And at the end of every shift, when I wanted to keep applying for jobs that actually aligned with my career, I had nothing left. No energy, no motivation. I would walk into my bedroom and fall straight into bed, exhausted from a day full of heavy emotions and heavy work, and no job applications. And that just made the frustration grow. Some days I honestly wondered, is there anything productive about this experience? Is there any upside to working in a restaurant? Or was I simply stuck? Exhaustion became another wall, another reason not to change. Then came my first real job interview. Well, not my first interview ever, but my first over the phone call and the first one actually related to my career. In contrast, that week had been chaos. Long shifts, French fries everywhere, insults in languages I don't even speak. So, there I was, riding the bus home, already discouraged, when my phone rang. The second I heard a name followed by from the Human Resources Department, my body went stiff. It was one of the companies I had applied to. My heart started racing, and once I started to speak, stuttering, disconnected ideas, awkward pauses, and after what felt like an eternal 5 minutes, the call ended. A complete failure. I got home that day convinced this was it, that I was destined to live with terrible schedules, a salary I hated, no weekends, and shawarmas for the rest of my life. That interview on the bus stayed with me. Not for the reasons you might think, not because of the negative feelings it left behind. Here's the thing, the disappointment only lasted one day. The next day, something clicked. I realized job interviews don't come at convenient times. They come when they come. I learned that most interviews ask the same questions, that answers can be practiced, that preparation matters. And yes, I still came home exhausted, still didn't want to open my computer. But I made a deal with myself. One job application per week. That was the goal. A small goal should be easy. And if I wanted to get better at interviews, I needed interviews. I also needed a script that I had to practice. And those interviews became the practice ground for that script. The only way to get to practice my script was getting more interviews. And to get more interviews, I need to apply. Again and again. Years later, I still remember the joy I had after months of trying and finally getting that job that not only pays the bills but also gives me professional fulfillment. But I also remember that atrocious interview. I remember the disappointment that swallowed me, my mood on the floor, the walk back home that night, defeated, the desire to give up hovering at the edge of my mind. And then, what came after that negative spiral? The spark. That failed interview became the spark. The moment that pushed me to choose a different path. The spark that reignited my motivation to leave that job at the restaurant behind. And that spark didn't just appear by magic. After that bitter taste of failure hit me, I reflected on what had actually happened. That reflection turned into momentum, into that spark. Because if you want something positive to come out of failure, you have to take the time to reflect on it. Now that I think about it, I can't help but realize that even that restaurant job, something I once thought was useless for my career, ended up teaching me something. It gave me character, adaptability, the courage to say no. I realized that I wasn't limited to working only in what I had studied, but that when necessity knocked on my door, I was willing to go further, that I would keep moving forward. And by persevering, I managed to move up in a small restaurant. I started as a line cook, and before quitting, I was already working as a supervisor. So maybe failure isn't the enemy. Maybe, at the end of the day, is not a bad experience. It's painful. It's frustrating. But what comes after depends on you. Will you keep doing the same thing that led you there? Or will failure light the fire to move forward? I remember being 12 years old. I came home crying after a terrible grade on a math exam. No one could really console me. Then my grandmother looked at me and said, "There is no bad thing that doesn't bring something good." I studied so hard after that exam that I never failed that class again, or any other. Failure is necessary in our lives. Failure is an inherent part of learning. I'm not saying you should chase failure. I'm saying this: try, without fear of encountering failure. Because if you never try, you'll never know what could have happened. Try without fear. Fail without fear. And when it happens, learn from it. Understand how you got there. That's where growth begins.